Hello, my name is Angelina Magrill and I'm a Community Foods Associate with the Center for Rural Affairs. I'm also the owner of Get Some Coffee and Tea. And Get Some Coffee and Tea is an Indigenous owned company that I had created to combine two of my favorite things, skating and coffee. Now all of the beans, all the roasters, and all the tea blenders that I use are all skaters or skater-owned businesses, or they're roasters that work with skater-owned businesses. So today I'm going to demonstrate how to make a dirty chai latte. So a chai latte consists of chai tea. Chai tea is, it's a Hindu word for spice tea. Chai meaning tea and, well, masala meaning spice. So we're actually making a masala chai latte. And then by adding our little shot of espresso, that's what's going to make it a dirty chai latte. All right, we're going to go over a little bit of the equipment and some of the ingredients you're going to need to make today's drink. The first thing you're going to need is water. Now, I cannot emphasize how important it is to have good, clean water. Now, when I say good water, I mean water that doesn't have anything added to it. We want filtered water. You can use a spring water, distilled water, any type of drinking water that doesn't have any additives. So it doesn't, no alkaline, no fluoride, nothing like that. We just want water, plain and simple. All right, next we're going to need our chai. Chai comes in both loose leaf and bagged blends. Today I'm going to be demonstrating using the bagged blend. I'm using the Tazo organic chai. It has a pretty consistent flavor. Also, I prefer to use Tazo because it's available in most grocery stores. They have organic blends available if that's what you want to use. But they also have different blends with different flavors added as well. All right, so today you're going to need coffee beans and a coffee grinder. You can use an espresso bean, a dark roast bean, or any type of coffee flavor that you really like. But traditionally, they're made with a dark roast blend or an espresso bean. Today we're using dark roast. We're going to grind our own beans. And I've brought an electric coffee grinder that I'm going to demonstrate how to use, but there are also manual coffee grinders available that you can use if electricity is not available, and that can be the case when you are vending in a public space. All right, our next ingredient is going to be your milk or your non-dairy milk alternative that you're going to be using. You can also use half and half, or you can use another milk alternative substitute if you'd like. I also use oat milk instead of almond milk. I like the consistency and the creaminess of it opposed to a soy milk or a rice milk, which are also non-dairy alternatives that you can use. Next, you're going to need a sweetener. Today, I'm going to be using raw honey for our chai lattes. I like to use honey in chai just because I think the flavor it accents the tea very well. But you can use any type of sweetener that you'd like. You can use a raw sugar. You can use a non-sugar sweetener if you have blood sugar problems, if you're diabetic, or you have if you're just trying to cut the sugar out of your diet. We have some examples of some sugar-free alternatives. You can use a stevia, allulose. We have a brand called Swerve if you like that brown sugar flavor but can't have sugar. So we're also going to be using a milk frother. And this is going to be to make our warm milk froth or a milk steamer if you've got a milk steamer. Traditionally, a latte is made with a milk steamer and on an espresso machine. That's usually pretty standard, but those things can be expensive and we don't have that. So I'm going to show you how to do this without all of that extra equipment. If you do have a milk steamer, that's great, and it will make it a little bit easier. But if you don't, we're going to work around that. So if you're going to use the manual, you want to heat up your milk, you can use the microwave. Now we're not going to set it on anything for too long, maybe about a minute. We don't want our milk to be boiling hot, we just want it to be warm. You can also use the stove. You can use a cup warmer if you'd want to keep it warm. But like I had mentioned, you don't want it to be super hot. We just want it warm. So you can use a French press to make your espresso. Today we're going to be using a French press. You could also use an AeroPress, and these are both things that are less expensive and readily available. You're also going to need a tea kettle or something to boil your water in, and some glass measuring cups. All right, and now that we have all of our ingredients, let's get started. So first we're going to brew our tea. The tea takes a little bit longer to brew than the coffee, so we're going to get that started first. First thing, we're going to boil our water. Now make sure that you fill your kettle because we're going to be making tea and coffee. Want to make sure we have enough water for both. Next, we're going to pour 8 ounces of our boiling water over our tea bag. Now, according to the instructions on the box, it'll tell you your water should be at least 212 degrees. You want to follow the instructions because it is possible to burn your tea or your coffee. And we'll have, if you have an electric thermometer or food thermometer, you can use that to distinguish whether your water's too hot or not. Next, we're going to brew our espresso. And first, we're going to have to grind our beans. So first things first, we're going to grind our beans to fine. You can use your measuring cup and measure as much as you need to. Just make sure not to overfill your grinder and make sure it is set to fine because that's the type of grind that you're going to use when you make espresso. Okay, and once we have that all measured out and grinded up, we're going to add 2 tablespoons to 7 ounces of water. So we're going to add this to our French press. We're going to add our coffee grounds to the bottom, and then we're going to put our 7 ounces of water in there. And we're going to let that steep for at least 4 minutes. All right, while we're letting our coffee and our tea steep, we're going to get our milk ready. Now, to use the manual milk frother, we're going to add our milk alternative to the carafe, and there is a line clearly marked on here. We need to keep it under this line because it can get really messy. Now, in the process of making it, seems like a good idea to fill it as much as you can, but once it gets going, you're going to see how it can become messy, and it's not a good idea. So just follow the instructions, and you should get a pretty good product at the end. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, we're going to have to warm this up. When we're using the manual frother, we're going to have a heat source. So today we're going to use the microwave. We're just going to warm it up a little, and we're going to keep it warm with our little cup warmer. Now, to froth the milk, this is fun. This is the fun part of using the manual milk frother. You're going to use the plunger, and you're just going to plunge like crazy for about 30 seconds. And then we're going to let that sit for a minute, and that milk's going to rise. And you're going to see why you have to leave it at that line because that milk does get bigger in the carafe. All right, now is our very last step. We're going to put all of our ingredients together. Now we have our tea brewed, we have our espresso in our French press, and we have our milk froth. All right, now when we're putting this all together in the cup, it's 8 ounces of espresso, 1 ounce of our warm milk froth, and a sprinkle of cinnamon, and we're all done.